Bao Island Storyteller, Journey to the West. Hey kids, welcome to Bao Island. On Bao Island, every story has a taste. Today's taste is Golden Daylilies opening for just one morning. This episode, we're in Fuli, on Liushidan Mountain. Today's story, The Great Escape.
Welcome back to the Bao Island bus, everyone. Today I've driven us up Liushidan Mountain, 640 Mountain, in Fuli Township, southern Hualien. This is daylily country.
Breathless, this is unreal. I've seen photos and I still wasn't prepared. The whole hillside is just gold. Hundreds of thousands of daylily flowers, all blooming at once. It's like someone tipped a bucket of sunshine over the mountain.
Daylily, sometimes called needle flower. They bloom for exactly one day each, opening in the morning, fading by evening. But because there are so many thousands of them, when they bloom in sequence across the hillside, the effect lasts for weeks. The mountain stays golden all summer.
Farmers here have been growing daylilies for generations. Dried daylily is an ingredient in traditional Chinese cooking, especially braised dishes and soups. But tourists discovered the fresh blooms, and now the whole mountain is a destination every August.
The view from up here is incredible. You can see all the way down the East Rift Valley, the patchwork of rice fields and farms, and then the coastal mountain range in the distance.
The East Rift Valley is sometimes called the last pure place in Taiwan. No major industrial development, no dense urban sprawl. Just mountains, fields, indigenous communities, small towns.
Things that look permanent. Things that are shaped by time and patience.
Patience. And today's story is about what happens when something that seemed permanent is suddenly broken, and whether it can be put back. There's something here, something you can only taste on Bao Island, where a hillside turns to pure gold for one morning, and the flowers open their eyes for the very first time.
Excited, what is it? Tell me, tell me.
Take a guess.
Mouth full, let me take a bite first. Enthusiastically, I have the daylily stir-fry. From a local farmer stall right on the mountain. Fresh daylily flowers, the ones that just opened this morning, stir-fried with eggs, garlic, and a little sesame oil.
The fresh flowers taste completely different from the dried ones.
Completely different. Dried daylily has this rich, almost mushroomy, earthy flavor. Fresh daylily is lighter, a little sweet, a little like baby asparagus, with a slight crunch. The petals are tender and silky, the base is firmer. And scrambled with eggs they look so beautiful, these golden orange petals mixed through the soft yellow egg.
One-day flowers?
One-day flowers. They must be eaten the same day they're picked, that's why they open, they're perfect, and then they're gone. So you have to be here right now to eat this. This exact morning.
The best meals are often the ones that can only exist in this moment.
Nodding, maximum freshness, minimum window. Which is the opposite of our pilgrim's journey, minimum shortcuts.
Laughing, let's continue. When Jinyuan came home and discovered the ruined ginseng fruit tree, he summoned the pilgrims before him and demanded an explanation. Sun Wukong stepped forward.
Did he admit it?
He tried a version of the truth that was also somewhat incomplete. Jinyuan was not moved. He said, "Here is what will happen. I will strike the Tang monk 20 strokes with a rod. For the damage done to my tree."
The Tang monk? But Tang monk didn't even eat the fruit. He said no.
Jinyuan was making a point, as the master, Tang monk is responsible for the behavior of his disciples. Wukong stepped in front of Tang monk. Strike me instead. It was my doing.
Quietly moved, he took responsibility.
Wukong took the 20 strokes without complaint. That night, the pilgrims were locked in their quarters. Wukong said quietly, "We need to leave. Right now." He used a sleep charm on the guards. They all slipped out, mounted the horse, and fled into the night.
They escaped.
They ran through the dark, hard, and fast, for most of the night. But as the sun came up and they thought they were free, the sky ahead of them darkened. And Jin Yuan Xian descended from the clouds directly in front of them.
He was already there?
He nodded politely, as if they'd bumped into each other at a market. Going somewhere?
Alarmed and kind of impressed, he has the whole sky.
Jin Yuan Xian opened his wide sleeve, a long, flowing Taoist robe, and swept it through the air once. All 4 pilgrims, the horse, and all their luggage were scooped up and carried inside the sleeve. Back to the temple they went.
He just picked them up with his sleeve?
The sleeve was larger on the inside. The pilgrims tumbled around in it like objects in a bag, unable to fight or fly or transform.
A very powerful man in a very large coat.
That is simultaneously terrifying and comedic.
Back at the temple, he locked them all up again. That night, Wukong transformed into a drill, thin and hard, and bored through the wall. Second escape. They fled again.
Did they get away?
They ran even faster this time. But by mid-morning, they ran into a grove of tall pine trees and stopped to rest, only to feel the ground shift under them. They were standing on the palm of a giant hand.
Stricken, they were standing on his hand? He put his hand down ahead of them and they walked onto it?
They had been running across the tops of mountains that were, in fact, Jin Yuan Xian's fingers. He'd projected himself across the landscape. When he curled his hand, they were caught.
I don't think running is going to work.
Third attempt, Wukong transformed the entire group into invisible wind, pure formless air, and they streamed away. This time they made it to the border of another province. They thought, "We've done it. We're free."
Were they?
They materialized in a forest, and sitting on a rock right in front of them, eating a peach and reading a scroll, was Jin Yuan Xian. He waved at them pleasantly.
Giving up, he was just sitting there. He just arrived first. Again.
He's old enough to know every shortcut.
He smiled and said, "The third time really is enough. Let's go back."
Let's walk a little further up the mountain path here.
The terraces go up the slope in steps, each level planted with daylilies, and the flowers are at different stages on each level. Some fully open, some still in bud, some already fading. It's like watching time happen on a hillside.
Farmers here have cultivated these terraces for generations. The daylilies need careful tending, the right altitude, the right drainage, the right amount of sun. And each flower must be picked at exactly the right moment for drying.
The straw art sculptures along the roads of Fuli have become a major attraction too. After the rice harvest, artists build enormous sculptures from the baled straw. We passed a straw dragon on the way up that was about as long as our bus.
And yet the flowers only last a day. All that work for something that opens in the morning and fades by evening.
Some beautiful things are temporary. And the only way to see them is to show up at the right moment and pay attention.
Sun Wukong is going to have to accept something he can't control, isn't he?
He usually does, eventually.
Locked up for the third time, Wukong knew that running wasn't working. He asked Jin Yuan Xian, "Give me time. Let me find the medicine to revive your tree. If I succeed, you release all of us and we continue our journey. If I fail, punish us however you see fit.
That's a real promise. He put himself on the line.
Jin Yuan Xian considered. He agreed, 10 days. Wukong had 10 days to find a way to revive a ginseng fruit tree that had taken 9,000 years to grow.
That is an impossible deadline.
Wukong flew first to Panglai Mountain, the mythical island of the Eastern Immortals, where the 5 elders of immortality lived. He bowed to them and explained the situation. He asked, "Is there a medicine? Is there something I can do?"
Did they know how?
They looked at each other. They thought very hard. They pulled out ancient texts. They consulted and consulted. Finally, the eldest said, "Wukong, we have to be honest with you. A ginseng tree is older than almost anything we know. The fruit of that tree is among the most powerful substances in existence. None of us know how to revive one if it's been killed. I'm sorry."
Disappointed, they didn't know.
Wukong flew next to Fengjiang Island, another immortal mountain. Same answer. He flew to Yingzhou Island. Same. He tried the Eastern Sea Dragon King. The Dragon King said, "I have power over water, fish, weather, but living earth, especially that kind of living earth? No. I'm sorry, Wukong."
He's asking everyone he can think of. And everyone is saying no.
There's a specific loneliness to the moment when you realize, I broke something I can't fix on my own.
Wukong came back to the temple without a solution. He sat outside the gate and thought.
Quietly, what did he do? Gently, I have the Chishang lunchbox. Sometimes when a problem is hard, you need something warm and complete.
One of the most famous bento boxes in Taiwan, from Chishang, the next township south of Fuli.
The rice in Chishang is called pearl rice, plump, slightly sticky, glossy, each grain standing up separately. The water that irrigates those paddies comes off the mountains pure and cold. And the lunchbox comes in a wooden box, that rice, packed warm, topped with braised pork, a marinated egg, pickled mustard greens, and stir-fried vegetables.
The pork is good?
The pork is falling apart. Braised until it gives up entirely, sweet soy ginger flavor, with the clean rice and the pickled cabbage cutting through the richness. They used to sell these at the Chishang train station platform. Passengers would lean out the window and buy them.
Good rice doesn't need decoration. It just needs to be what it is.
Eating contentedly, sometimes the best food is the simplest food. Just good ingredient, care, and time.
Time, again.
Looking up, Guanyin, right? That's where he goes.
That's where he goes. Sun Wukong flew to Guanyin Bodhisattva's Island, Padalaka Mountain, and knelt down. He explained everything, the theft, the escape attempts, the failed search for an antidote. He said, "I have tried everywhere I can think of. I cannot fix this alone. I'm asking for your help."
He admitted he couldn't do it.
Fully and without excuses.
That's not easy. Not for Wukong. He hates admitting weakness.
Guanyin listened carefully. Then she smiled. "I do know a way. There is a willow branch from my vase, the purification willow, and the water in my vase is water from the ancient spring of creation. Together, they can return life to the tree."
She had the answer the whole time?
Guanyin didn't lecture him. She didn't say this is what you deserve. She picked up her vase, took a willow branch, and came with him personally.
Quietly, she just came.
When they arrived at Hualien Mountain, Xian was moved, he bowed deeply when Guanyin appeared. She walked to the ruined tree, dipped the willow branch in the water from her vase, and sprinkled it on the roots. Once. Twice. 3 times.
Holding breath, did it work?
The bark began to lighten. Then green appeared at the base of the trunk. The bark became smooth again. Leaves appeared, first just a few, then dozens, then the whole canopy filling out, branch by branch. And then, one by one, small shapes began to form in the branches. The fruit. 23 baby-shaped fruits, hanging perfect from the revived tree.
Quietly amazed, she brought it back.
Jinyuan Xian looked at his tree, completely restored. He said nothing for a long moment. Then he said, "Let us eat together. All of us. This calls for celebration."
He's not angry anymore?
How could he be? The tree is alive. The fruit is back. And he is hosting the Bodhisattva Guanyin for dinner. This is the best thing that has happened to him in years. Jinyuan Xian had his students knock down 10 of the ginseng fruits, enough for everyone. Tang Monk held his in his bowl and looked at it for a long time. Wukong said, "Master, it is fruit. I promise. It just looks like that."
Did Tang Monk eat it this time?
With warmth, he took a very small bite. And then his eyes went wide. And he ate the rest of it.
Laughing, he liked it.
Everyone sat around the table, the Tang Monk's disciples, Jinyuan Xian and his students, and Guanyin herself. The ginseng fruits were passed around. The conversation was warm. Jinyuan Xian looked at Sun Wukong across the table and said, "You caused a great deal of trouble."
Wukong agreed, right?
Wukong nodded, "I did. And I'm sorry. Genuinely." Jinyuan Xian said, "The trouble you caused became the occasion for me to meet the Bodhisattva Guanyin. And for that, I'm grateful." He paused. "I suppose that makes us something like friends now."
The mistake became the meeting. The damage became the relationship.
The most important connections sometimes start with a problem. Back to these daylilies for a moment.
Each flower blooms for exactly 1 day. By tonight, the ones that opened this morning will have faded. Tomorrow, new ones open. The hillside stays golden, but the individual flowers are always changing.
The mountain stays the same. The flowers don't.
And yet the mountain wouldn't be famous without the flowers. The temporary thing is what makes the permanent thing special.
Nothing lasts in fixed form forever. The ginseng tree seemed permanent, then was broken, then was revived. The daylily seems fragile but returns every summer. The mountain seems eternal but is shaped by rain and roots.
The tree being revived mattered more than the theft that broke it. The breaking and the fixing together made something that wasn't there before, a friendship between Wukong and Jinyuan Xian.
Some things can only grow from being broken first.
Every faded flower is the beginning of a new bloom.
Sun Wukong is brilliant, fast, strong, creative. He can transform into anything, escape from almost anywhere, fight almost anyone. But in these 2 chapters, none of those skills helped him clean up the mess he made.
Speed and strength couldn't revive the tree. Disguises couldn't revive the tree. Escaping couldn't revive the tree.
There's only one thing that could: sacred water, applied by someone who knew how to use it. And that required going to Guanyin. Asking. Waiting. Letting her lead.
Every kind of power has a limit. Knowing the limit of your own power is wisdom.
Wukong reached the limit of what he could fix by himself. And instead of pretending he hadn't, he went and asked.
The asking wasn't weakness. It was the only thing that actually worked.
I want to remember that. When I've tried everything I can try and it's still not fixed, ask someone who knows more.
That's a good thing to carry.
The sun is dropping behind the mountains. Time to head south.
Today we climbed Liushidan Mountain in Fuli, the hillside of gold daylilies, one-day flowers that bloom for a single morning. We had daylily stir-fry with eggs from a farmer's stall and the legendary Chishang lunchbox with its perfect standing rice. And we watched Sun Wukong escape 3 times from an immortal with an enormous sleeve, search every corner of heaven and the eastern sea for a cure, fail completely, and finally ask Guanyin Bodhisattva, who came immediately, revived the tree with sacred water, and turned an enemy into a friend over dinner.
Wukong is slowly, very slowly, learning that some things require help.
The Monkey King is growing up. One ruined tree at a time.
What's next?
Next time we follow the coast north to Hualien to the dramatic Qingshui Cliffs, where the Marble Mountains fall straight into the Pacific Ocean. We'll have Jikyuan fresh seafood and sweet potato fries. And the story enters a new stage. Sun Wukong visits 3 immortal islands seeking a cure for the ginseng fruit tree, all fail, and finally Guanyin comes in person with her willow branch and sweet dew to revive it. Jinyuan Xian is amazed and becomes sworn brothers with Sun Wukong.
A drought caused by a demon? That sounds serious.
Softly, the asking was the bravest part. On Bao Island, stories grow up with you.